What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And today we are back at it with the series Why We Like Them, Why We Don't. And I'm accompanied once again by my co-host, Brandon Cooper, man. And we are talking about Attila today. But before we get started, man, I just want to say thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Thank you guys for engaging with me. Anybody who leaves a comment, a like, or anything like that, I greatly appreciate you guys. We got some big things coming through. Hopefully am hoping to have some merch here before the end of the year, man. Some exclusive stuff, or, you know, I'm going to try a couple of avenues here and there. Also on top of that too, you know, I'm looking to do some different things in the new year with the podcast. Maybe some live streaming and stuff like that, man. So check out and be on the way for that. And as always, man, if you'd like to be a guest on my show, if you have a show idea, hit me up on Facebook and Instagram at Blue Presents a Podcast, and on Twitter at Podcast of Blue. Now, before I get into the ad I'm about to play, man, I just want to give a special thank you to my man, AJ Pelletier, man. This guy has been nothing but nice to me since the first time I met him. He's been on my show. I've been on his show. And I greatly appreciate the support that he's given me with the podcast, as well as outside of the podcast, man. He's one of those guys, man, that like just always is doing something or checking on someone, man. And I appreciate it, man. He's become like a brother. And, you know, hopefully here soon, you know, I'll have him on my show again. And we'll get back to talking about some more music things, man, because, you know, a 2-hour podcast just wasn't enough, man. But before I get started, man, you guys should definitely check out the Roads We Travel podcast. Thank you, guys.
Hey, everyone. AJ Pelletier here, and I'm here to talk to you about my podcast, The Roads We've Traveled. It's a podcast where every week I talk to guests and friends from music, art, comedy, and more about their journeys through life. Their struggles, their joys, and everything in between. You also get to know a little bit more about me and my journey as well. So if you like podcasts about good conversations about life, or maybe you're just looking to relate to somebody about some things you may be going through as well, then The Roads We've Traveled is the podcast for you. Subscribe to us today on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you guys get your podcasts from. Check us out and subscribe to us on YouTube. And check us out at facebook.com/Roads We've Traveled Podcast. All right, everyone. Thanks.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music. And today we're doing a Why We Like Them, Why We Don't with my man, Brandon. Brandon, what is up?
What's going on?
Nothing much. Not as happy as you are with that 10-piece and burger combo going on over there. Nothing wrong with that. How are you these days, man?
I'm good, man. I'm tired. I'm working a lot. Same old stuff, you know?
Well, congratulations on some endorsement deals this week, brother, for you and Worm Shepherd, man. Congratulations. Filthy Breakdowns and MLC Amplifications.
Yes.
You guys landed those awesome deals. I'm happy for you guys. Proud of you guys. Like I said, man,
thank you.
You guys need to check this band out before they blow up and they don't know who you are anymore. Oh,
That's
man.
never the case.
So today, the subject of Why We Like Them, Why We Don't is Attila, man. We're talking about the man, Fonzak, whichever you'd like to call him. Because, you know, a lot of people, you know, when you talk about Attila, you kind of have to talk about, you know, Franz, because he's kind of the face of that band in a major way, you know, as he's dubbed himself the metalcore millionaire, you know, and apparently that's a legit thing. So as we get started, just to kind of give people a background, and we're pretending people don't know who they are, but Attila is an American metalcore band from Atlanta, Georgia that formed in 2005. And since then, they've released 8 albums. So this is kind of funny. Before I even knew what Attila was, I actually knew who Franz was from a MTV Made episode. Yes, I was huge into the show Made. And it was something that was like super it was super cool to see these regular people or kids or anything like that kind of get that opportunity to live a dream. And if I'm not mistaken, his episode, he wanted to be a male model, and the Fonz you'd see in that episode looks completely night and day different from the Fonz now, man. I'd have to say the whole like ugly duckling thing, where as a teenager he was kind of awkward and weird looking, and now he's a decent looking dude. You know what I'm saying? So no knock on that or anything like that. But also, with that being said, when you talk about Attila, you talk about a lot of controversy that really divides the music community into two. You've got people who don't like what Fonz do because they feel like he's very exploitive of his music and what he does about it. And then you've got other people who downright respect what he does and just realizes that he's just capitalized on being his self. Maybe he's himself turned up to 1,000 when he's on stage or doing videos, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But just to kind of start, when was the first time you think you heard Attila?
I believe I was maybe 15, 16, high school.
Mm-hmm.
I liked them. They were heavy. They were different.
Mm-hmm.
They did, like you said, some controversial things.
That's for sure.
But, they're all about that life. So, I mean, it's badass.
So I think the first time I heard them was definitely in 2010, and definitely the whole, I saw them with, a lot of different bands. They were definitely one of those bands that was, continuously touring. And I think the band I remember seeing them with, I would have to say, was, I believe, Arsonists Get All the Girls, which is another band that's, kind of that controversial line that they tread. But the first song I saw was Rage, which was just it was like a party anthem, to be honest with you. It was like a heavy,
for sure,
just one of those sounds that I wouldn't say it stuck out so much as it was just catchy. It was kind of fun. You saw the music video, just kind of a bunch of people just running around going ham in a warehouse. So yeah. I thought that they were pretty cool and pretty badass. But I would have to say, especially that first album, lyrical content probably wasn't the strongest thing on there. And a lot more times than not, I kind of referred to them as the Lil Wayne of metalcore, if you really think about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just very catchy. A lot of songs that a lot of people remember. A lot of freezes and stuff like that. That was indicative of the late the 2010ish kind of thing getting down and stuff like that. And then as we would see them go forward, still some of that kind of edginess to his lyrics and stuff like that. But the other thing you realized was, and this is something we can talk about positive for him, was he's actually a very, very good vocalist, a very amazing screamer. He has all the abilities that anybody would hope to have being a vocalist, period. Whether he's doing Attila or he was fronting another band, he definitely has a vocal range that some people, including myself, kind of envy. That whole just deep lows and very high arcing screams, and then kind of made the fast speaking scream thing a thing, really big for him. You can definitely see the range and power that he had, because he would just fucking spit so beautifully in that tone that just, even sometimes I would try to figure out, because that shit's pretty amazing. And then you can also see bands that kind of were influenced by him. The first band I think of right off the top is Hunt the Dinosaur, man. Those guys, that guy, he's got a vocal range that I would have to say he probably, if wasn't inspired, he was definitely heard what Fonz was doing and was yo, I want to do that and make it a little bit better. You know what I'm saying?
Hunt the Dinosaur is sick.
Yes.
They're the perfect combination of, it's like if Attila and Amir had a baby.
No, for real. And the thing about it is it's a different style of music, because when people hear this style of music, they think it's super serious. or, you know, if you're somebody who doesn't know, it's something dark and evil, which in some aspects, if you listen to some of what Attila says, you know, some of it does come down like that, you know, like songs like Party with the Devil, about that life and stuff like that definitely have some things. And I would have to say, if anything, I probably think Attila probably inspired a lot of like that trap metal scene that's kind of becoming prevalent right now. You know, people look at that kind of stuff and we're just like, yo, I can do this and I can take that and kind of move forward with it. I go back to Hunt the Dinosaur, and there's a couple of other artists who do that kind of style, you know, even though it's not like a style I would have to say for myself that is prevalent or entertains me in any aspect. But you always get a kick out of certain things. Like I said, you know, Hunt the Dinosaur does some pretty crazy things, as well as Attila does, you know. But for the most part, the other thing too, a lot of people don't realize is that during this time, like especially like in the beginning days of Attila, Franz has like a very strong business acumen, and started his own clothing line called Stay Sick, in which now he's actually started a record label. And that is absolutely amazing, especially when you're in a space and you're making a kind of style of music that, let's face it, I mean nowadays that kind of music is chart topping now, but back then that kind of music was like you were only guaranteed to sell a couple, maybe a few thousand copies here and there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So looking for income was something else that he did, and he kind of very much capitalized on it, and it worked out for him. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of the money he was making, and apparently still makes, was from his clothing line. You know, he had a lot of like catchphrases and certain things, and I don't know who he
might fuck.
Yeah, oh my God. Anyways. Oh my God. We're getting there. But yeah, no, a lot of people don't realize that. And some people, it frustrates people because people don't realize that, you know, yeah, he's making his dreams come true, but he also was doing something else. And in my mind, that's a very, very smart thing. You know what I'm saying? For sure. That he saw an opportunity, capitalized on it, and really helped himself, propel himself above a lot of what people in this space do, which once again, that makes him a very smart man. He, as much as people are annoyed with his antics or how he may carry himself, I mean, really think about it. When was the last time you really heard something like him going to jail? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You know, right. Unfortunately with the current situation, and we're having artists come under fire for allegations. You know what I'm saying? When was the last time you really heard his name in those allegations? You have heard a band member of his in allegations like that, but you haven't really heard, you know, Fonz in that kind of stuff. But also at the same time, like I said, I think it's because he's a smart businessman who, when it comes down to it, when he's on stage, it's fucking party time. But when he's off stage, he's making business decisions. He's making decisions that make sense for him. And the other thing too that I think a lot of people don't realize that may be a hater of him, he's a big supporter of younger bands. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
He definitely will put bands on, and I think that's cool too, because it just, once again, it says that this guy has no ego about him. You know what I'm saying? For as much as people may think he has an ego because of, you know, on stage antics or whatever, so forth, music or whatever the case is, him putting on younger bands really kind of shows that he's not an ego guy, that he's driven to not only make sure his band's successful and getting money, but that other bands are being successful and getting money, which is fucking awesome, you know?
And he's got some really awesome bands on his label. I don't know if Spite is still on there, but Spite, Body Snatchers, Sentinels, I mean, great bands. Like, without that record label, I probably never would have heard of any of them.
Now, you know, we can kind of like, I don't like want to edge to, like, I don't know. We're going to jump into like some of the negativity about him and controversies and stuff like that. But before we do that, let's look at some of the artists that he currently has, on his record label. Wow. So apparently in July of 2020, this past year, Stay Sick was rebranded Modern Empire Music. Okay.
Okay.
So he's got right off the rip, I'm seeing banger bands right here. He's got Body Snatcher, Born Anew, which I don't know if you've ever heard those guys. Those guys fucking slam. Bury Your Dead. You ever heard of those guys before?
Come on now.
It Prevails, Meltdown, Downswing. Heard of those guys? What do we got here? Yep, Spite's still on there. Sentinels. We've heard of that band before.
Oh, absolutely.
Weeping Wound. We know those guys. And a few other bands that I'm not too. Oh, Miscreant. I've heard those guys before. And Old Lung, which I don't know if you've ever heard Old Lung before. That's a good one.
I don't think I have.
And then let's look at some of his former artists. Bullet for Pretty Boy, which is a band I was really into. Afterlife, which is a great band. Buried Tomorrow, Buried in Verona, which is another great band. Capture, which was formerly Capture the Crown. Chelsea Grin, god damn. Concepts. Like,
wait,
yeah.
Chelsea Grin is on...
Was, formerly.
Oh, was. Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yes. Casino Madrid, which is a low-key, like, fucking banger for me. Like, electronicore. Crystal Lake. Wow, that's a band we've heard before.
Yeah.
Four Letter Lie at one time, which is a band I really like. Guillotines, which I remember seeing Guillotines. They're kind of like a hardcore hip hop kind of outfit. In Dying Arms, I Wrestled a Bear once. Wow, yeah, like fuck Kubla Khan at one point. That's crazy. Like, and the list goes on and on and on and on, including bands like Slaves, Villain of the Story, which is another great band. But like I said, we could go on and on and on. But clearly, oh wait, actually, yeah. So that's crazy. That's just absolutely crazy. Some of these bands on here. Yeah, no, it's kind of cool. Like, some of the stuff here, we're looking at some stuff that he's done. And once again, like I said, this just kind of shows you some of these bands on here have gone on and do their own successful things. And I think that's like really awesome. Once again, he's supporting younger bands. He's putting them on the map. He's giving them opportunities. And that's really awesome. Because if you think about some of those bands we just listed, some of those bands are like in the forefront right now, of the scene right now. And that's, once again, like I said, it speaks to him not having the ego, but unfortunately, like I said, before we started talking, when you talk about Attila, you kind of have to talk about Fonz and some of his antics, or people who have issues with some of his things. Recently, he had a problem with the singer from Census Fail, Buddy, who apparently was really, really upset with the fact that apparently he used some homophobic words. And, once again, it's kind of like that envelope that they like to push. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
And that's something that they do. And then not only that, but Buddy apparently had a big issue with him having an OnlyFans. If a lot of people don't know, apparently in the summer of 2020, which, I mean, it's a new world out there. People are trying to find out new avenues. And once again, speaks to the intelligence of this man that he decided, you know what people want to see? They want to see me fucking. And I'm sure he gets plenty of money because he's not only is it just him on there, he's actually using porn stars, so I'm sure people are not only going to see, Chris's member or Fonz's member. I apologize calling him by his first name, but his member, and then seeing how that fits with whatever woman he's working with currently.
Hey, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. The man's about his money and his women. I mean,
you said it, man. And that's interesting, man. Like I said, it is what it is, once again, I'm never going to knock anybody for getting, let's use that lingo, getting that bag, you know what I'm saying? Because,
right.
Obviously with the way the world's going right now, he realized that there was a demand to see him doing his thing, you know what I'm saying? So props to him. Once again, speaks to his intelligence, but people view that because he is what you would call, some people role model type, a leader in the scene, someone who's perceived to be on top of it, which he is, man, and certain people are knocking him for doing things like this, but the only other thing that I can really think of that's like super major controversy is in August of 2018 in Las Vegas. So he threw a microphone at a security guard guy and punched him in the back of the head. Now, a lot of people would view that, oh, well, he's wild and he's crazy. But in actuality, the reason why he did that was apparently the security that night was being extremely aggressive to audience members while they were crowd surfing, while they were moshing, which is, unfortunately something that comes with that territory because, with metalcore, hardcore, deathcore, whatever, we express ourselves in the pit in a very violent manner,
Sure.
So some people take umbrage with that. Some people are scared of stuff like that. But, I've seen videos with certain bands who call out, the security that's working. And we all understand, security's got to do what they got to do. And I can understand how someone may, get caught in their feelings. But also at the same time, it's another reminder that when you're doing that kind of job and you're playing with that kind of show, because if you show up to a job and they're not telling you, hey, man, this is what you should expect for this evening, then I don't think you're doing your job correctly. And you getting upset and emotional about it is just showing you how weak you are. And I get sometimes a lot of this security isn't properly trained or isn't, what would you say, associated with particular companies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Certain people don't, when they're working security, they're not expecting to see, kids swinging fist in the pit or, clawing on top of each other to get to a vocalist in the microphone. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But once again, also at the same time, you have to do a job, and every job is going to be different, especially when you're working in the entertainment venue. You know what I'm saying? So,
yep.
I don't know. But anyways, back to his controversies and stuff like that. I know some people, didn't take kindly to particular songs like Call Out, that came out in 2013, in which he dissed a bunch of artists such as Johnny Craig, Ronnie Rake, Mike Reynolds, and then he actually came out with a sequel to that song, which for whatever reason, he came at more than 50 people, including YouTubers, rappers, Martin Scarelli, Jeffree Star. So like a crazy amount of artists that he kind of called out, including the Kardashians, Ronda Rousey for some weird thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, once again, it's just showing you, that they'll push that envelope, and diss whoever. Sometimes I think that people, like, when you hear stuff like me saying he's dissed all these people or said something about them, maybe he just put the song together because it rhymed. A lot of people are giving Nas crap because he said something about Doja Cat, even though Doja Cat said some pretty racist things, even though she's black herself, partly black. She said some pretty controversial stuff that a lot of people didn't agree with. And some people took Nas saying, we're going to go the opposite of Doja Cat as basically like, we're not going to be like you. You know what I'm saying? Some people took it as a diss instead of realizing in an interview that I read that Nas said, I just used that because it rhymed. That's the only reason why her name's in the song.
Yeah.
So
I actually think there's a strategy behind people calling out other people in songs and stuff.
This is true, especially when you
think like with nowadays, right? A lot of the world is all hate and this and that, and there's a lot of shitty things going on.
Of course.
But like music world, I feel like the same thing. I feel like the hate can get you as much exposure as if if someone likes that actual band. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a lot of times you're finding the term that I find a lot of people use for him is edgelord. And this basically meaning, he's the overseer of what's edgy and what's on the cusp of certain things. And in certain statements, I can kind of see how people view that. But when you have somebody who is successful, who is doing what he's done for so long, like I said, his controversies are merely up to just, people not liking certain things he says, calling out people. He's never really assaulted anybody, apparently, except for a security guard in Las Vegas. But he's never really...
That we know about.
Exactly, that we know about. But, it's just one of those things where, like, what he's really getting in trouble for is talking. You know what I'm saying? He's getting in trouble for saying things that other people wouldn't say. But once again, I think we're forgetting the fact that he is in the entertainment business, no matter what. And it's not to say that, what he's talking about isn't something he feels real. But what we need to understand is that I'm sure his mindset is, I'm going to give you fucking people a show every fucking time you come to see me. You know what I'm saying? And
that's
sometimes,
the thing. I mean, the guy isn't stupid.
No. And to say he's stupid, what he says might sound stupid to you, but him being stupid, definitely not something I can say. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We just recently talked about his business acumen. You know what I'm saying? He clearly has figured out a way to make money when everyone else isn't really making money because no one's on tour right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When you're making money while you're sleeping, you made it.
Yeah, no, for real. Like, and you're not lying about that. And that's something for me that I think, while people may disagree with how he does it, he's getting his money. He's taking care of his family. He's taking care of his people. He's making sure at the end of the day, he's getting that proverbial bag, and it doesn't matter whether you agree with what he does. He's going to continue to be him. And that's something you could admire about him, but also at the same time, being a parent of young kids who are impressionable at the time, I can kind of see why some people take offense to what he says. Like the whole Buddy thing. I think him really being upset is because Buddy may feel like he has a voice and a connection to people who are younger, that really just don't like understand the difference between, hey, this is a guy who's going on stage, putting the volume up on his personality 1,000%. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure when he's home, he's hanging out, I'm sure he is a extremely nice guy. He's super chill, probably somebody you want to go drink with, smoke with, whatever, so on and so forth, whatever you're down or into. And he probably makes you feel like a great person. But when he's out doing his thing, when he's out performing, he's an artist, he's an entertainer. He's going to do it 110%. While you're just like, well, why does he get to get away with this, and why can't I be as successful as him? And it's because he just figured out what works for him. You know what I'm saying? And right. I think that's sometimes artists forget about these things and stuff like that. And like when we were talking about like Ghost, the influences from so many different things. First of all, they're from Atlanta, so I can kind of see how hip hop music was an influence for him as well too. And if you see the way a lot of these hip hop artists present themselves, even when they don't have money, they give you the perception that they do have money. You know what I'm saying? And that's what makes you want to buy that record. That's what makes you want to be more intrigued about it. You know what I'm saying? When you watch an Attila music video and you're watching a party scene, about that life is like one of those videos, you've got, women twerking, you've got them in the nightclub, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's a whole vibe. It's a whole scene. And people just don't get it. They don't understand it. They don't respect it. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of dumb because it's just like, hey man, this guy is doing what works for him. He's appealing to who he appeals to. If he's not your cup of tea, I say shut it off. Like we have the power as consumers to kind of like, and I sound like I'm really, really defending him, but I'm really in a sense should defend all artists who do something similar to this. And I think if they're really not hurting anybody and not doing things that for sure, the obvious stuff, murder, assaulting people in multiple ways, and in anything else where you're violating someone's space. But when you're just saying things people don't like, I attribute that to stuff like comedy. Comedians say a lot of things that people don't want to agree with, whether they're making jokes about, horrific disasters, making jokes about stereotypes, making jokes about being a stereotype, you know what I'm saying? that's just their reality. That's their world. That's where they come from. And that's how they express themselves. But also at the same time, like I said, you can kind of see why some of that for some people is hard to disconnect when you've got kids or when you've got this or when you've got that. Now, I'm not saying Attila is my most favorite band in the whole world. I'd be lying if I said that. But there are some songs I definitely do enjoy from them that I probably don't listen to in front of my kids. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. The other thing too is, man, they have I can't think of a band that has a solid lineup of records that always has people talking. To be honest with you, I feel like Rage was kind of like a mediocre start. Outlaw wasn't bad, but I definitely feel like About That Life kind of like set them on a different tone. It definitely,
absolutely,
yeah, exactly. It definitely gave them more. I think they added more of the hip hop vibe, as well as, well, I mean, they kind of had that in those first two records, but I think this kind of like turned on full blast, and you really started to see in About That Life, and then you move on to Guilty Pleasure, where you kind of see, okay, this is what they're kind of turning into. Chaos was not an album I was like super excited for, but Villain definitely picked my interest back up. Definitely was just like, okay, I can kind of see what these guys are doing, man, and I definitely feel that they're like back on track. Or, like once again, like I said, on top of music right now, when everybody else is doing, weird things. And then the other thing too is, how many artists do you know can write a song about pizza and make it the heaviest thing you fucking heard?
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my God. I have never.
And this, wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
To set the record straight, pineapple does not go on pizza.
Ooh, you would be so depressed with what I ate last night.
I don't even want to know. If it has anything to do with pizza and pineapple, save it.
Oh, yeah. Franz would be so disappointed in me. But no, I mean, it was a great song. And once again, it just shows you that this guy is like making light and having fun in his life, that he could take a song about pizza and just make it so fucking amazing, and the skit like within the song is hilarious and just everything, you know what I'm saying? Now, I will have to point out something, and if he ever hears this, $5 is not enough to decide what you get on a pizza. I don't know whoever has bought a pizza that $5 is half that pizza. I don't know about you, but if I order one pizza from Domino's, it's at least $20. You know what I'm saying? So,
don't forget about Little Caesars.
Okay.
Caesars.
Okay, but Little Caesars doesn't deliver. So, for a fact, we know it's not Little Caesars.
What about DoorDash? Don't they DoorDash or Grubhub or whatever?
I would imagine that's even more money. But, okay, if we were to, okay, let's play devil's advocate. If they were to do that, I still think $5 is still not enough to decide what gets on that pizza.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I'm like, yo, if I'm bringing $5 to you for a pizza, you're looking at me like, yo, can I get another $5? Like, what's going on, bro? Exactly. I got wings. Like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? But anyways, back to what we were talking about. He's making light of things, and he's having a fucking great time doing it. He's having so much fun. And like I said, it's kind of inspiring in the sense that while I don't agree with what he's talking about, it's inspiring to see what he's doing, how he's capitalizing on his success, and how he continues to keep moving forward. Even though, like I said, we're in a pandemic, nobody's making money, but fucking Franz is making money, man. And you kind of have to look back and sit back and be like, listen, man, certain people are willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do,
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I really think the way he works is on strategy. I really do.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, it's just that's the world that we live in, man. And if you really, really want to be successful and you want to stand out, you need to have a personality that stands out as well. And if you really think about it, This kind of goes back to like professional wrestling, man. People have always in that space have always been loud and boisterous, and their personality times 1,000. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of gives you that whole perspective. And if anything, I definitely think that was a blueprint for him, which was seeing somebody like The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin, who, and it would make sense for the time he was growing up. I'm sure he grew up in the 90s, kind of seeing that kind of stuff, or even towards the tail end of the 90s when that still was prevalent. You see those kind of guys who have those boisterous personalities, a Ric Flair, a Triple H, those guys who, obviously are not going to be busting each other in the head with sledgehammers, but they turn it up when they need to turn it up. And I'm sure when he's home, he's just Chris, he's just chilling, relaxing, having fun. But when it's time to get this money, he's Fonz and he's turned up to 1,000, and you're not ready for it. It reminds me of something I say about my son. When people come to hang out, or kids come to hang out with my son, they don't realize my son Julian came to play. Okay, you guys came to play, but he came to play hard. You know what I'm saying? He came to be aggressive. He came to smash your car. He came to, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of the same thing for Fonz. Is he came to get this money, and he's about to show you how he gets it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So,
came, conquered, and left.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyways, like I said, and we can definitely see the negatives of it. We can see, like I said, him being a role model to a lot of kids younger, especially when we live in the YouTube age now, where people look at people with this microscope and analyze it, and not realizing that maybe people in the entertainment business shouldn't be your idols, and that's a conversation for a whole nother other subject. But I feel like, when you look at him and you see his success, I'm sure there's somebody right now, there's some young 16, 17-year-old kid who's seeing this model and is just like, okay, let me write this down because this is what I'm going to need to do to get to the top. You know what I'm saying? So I can kind of see that part of it. And I don't know, man. It's like you said, there's a lot of negative in this world, and we're seeing how people handle things and how people don't handle things appropriately. And we're getting a mishmash of everything. And on top of that too, we're living in this scary time, and people unfortunately are doing interesting things or disgusting things to get money these days. Yeah. So, but anyways, we're going to end this right here, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. Tell us what you guys think about Attila, whether you guys respect what Franz does, whether you respect what the band does. I really feel like this is a band that's judged solely on what he says, as opposed to realizing that he is a great vocalist, they are great musicians, and they just happen to entertain a lot better than other people do.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Thanks, Brandon, for coming on, man.
Thank you.
All right, man.